again, I'm Linda Kaiser, and welcome back to the second part of the circle with the women who were at Standing Rock. And as I said before, we have our regular panelists, Mary Beth Lord and Lucy Lopez. And Mary Beth, I'm going to say it wrong.
My sister-in-law.
Sharon Brash and Jackie Mitchell Santizo and Marjorie Munson and Maria Lopez, who is his aunt. And all of these women have been to Standing Rock, and we're going to continue our conversation. Tell them about your technical difficulties. Mary Beth, didn't they fry your phone the first time you were there?
Well, the first time we were there, they did all kinds of stuff to our phone, but it was very interesting. One morning, we were all standing out at camp, and we said, oh, let's get a picture. And so I looked at my phone, and I'm like, oh, my God, my battery's down to 0. And then Sharon looks at hers, she says, well, we'll use mine, and hers was gone. Mm-hmm. And then Jackie's was gone. And then we were standing there with other people, and they said, yeah, they just drained our batteries. So the whole camp, all of our cell phone batteries were drained completely. And they do that a lot before you're going to go out to a frontline action, so that you can't contact anybody, you can't live stream anything, you can't photograph, whatever. So they did that for a while. And yeah, we had all kinds of things. I had a lot of photos removed from my phone. A lot of pictures that I took of frontline action are now missing off my phone. So yeah, Jackie, I think you had some problems with your phone.
Yeah, I took information because I wanted to get information back to the people, and when I went to look for their contact information, it was totally wiped from my phone. And the day we were taking the pictures, I had 75%, and in 1 second it drained to 0.
Wow.
So surveillance aircraft were circling constantly all day and sometimes all night, and so the theory is that they've got electronic scrambling devices aboard.
Yeah, one day when we were out at the North Dakota Bank, I was taking video. And I was watching it. It was all great. Everything looked clear and nice. And as soon as it was over, I said, oh, Sharon, look at this. And I showed it to her, and it was just a scrambled mess. You couldn't see anything. They totally scrambled the whole video. So, yeah, there's all kinds of technology out there that, we're just women and grandmas and all from, around the country showing up there. We don't have a lot of technical background. And when we see this thing going on, it kind of like it's really hard for you to believe that this technology
can find out what was that stuff they dropped out of the airplane when you and Sharon were first there.
We have no idea. And what's so weird is we had told the story before that there was we were at an action and somebody had said, oh, look at this long spider web on my pants. And I looked around and I said, well, there's not even any brush here. Where would you have gotten spider webs? And then just like that, somebody said, oh, look up and block the sun with your hand. So we all did that. And as we looked up, there were like spider webs falling down all over from the sky. And they were all over us. And, we're all just thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? When we got back to the car, I said to Sharon, let's get one of these and we'll have it analyzed. And so we got one and we put it in a baggie and we sat it on the front console. And, later we went to look for that and it was gone. So again, we don't know what's going on. But then it was a few days later, and people were reporting that they were at an action and that there was like a orangey yellow dust coming down from the sky and coming on them. So, we've had all kinds of people tell us their theories about what it was, and none of it is good. But, again, these are all things I think that, try to put people in fear, and we refuse to be in fear. When we got home, a lot of my hair had fallen out. And it was odd because we were on the symposium one day, and one of the gentlemen that's in that group said that he had a young girl show up and was renting one of his cabins, and she was complaining that her hair was falling out. So I talked to Jackie a little while later, and she said, yeah, her hair had gotten so thin. So, and even Lucy today, I mentioned to her, and she said, oh yeah, her hair has been coming out. So there's something, we're not in fear over it. I mean, it's just something that's going on. And I'm a big believer that, you know, you have a lot of power through your mind, what you can, you know, actually physically do with yourself. And none of anything that they throw at me is going to really scare me. I'm just, you know, I think we have to look at the big picture, and we talk all the time, you know, this is a group of women here, and we know that this is a time when women are stepping up, that this is the time that's been, you know, talked about and prophesized for a long time about the feminine energies. And I see women now coming together in a way that I've never seen before. They're using their voices, they're strong. And there's been so many ceremonies now about honoring the women, because the women are here with innate knowledge of nurturing and healing and loving. And, you know, it's sort of what we're going to do. You know, the men are here to protect us, and we need the men. But right now, you know, we're going to get these guys that are causing problems, and we're going to do what any mom would do, you know, take them out of the group, sit them down, tell them they're done, they're in a timeout, and the women are going to get together, and we're going to go and we're going to heal things, because that's what we know how to do. We know how to come together. We know how to make people feel better. We just know how to do these things, and it's time. We need now to band together, and we need to, you know, heal Mother Earth. We've got to heal her, and we've got to heal ourselves, and it all begins with ourselves. You know, we were involved in a beautiful, beautiful march while we were out there. And as Marjorie was talking about the Indigenous Youth Council, they had come and said that they felt extremely protected by white women, that they felt that with faces of white women out there, that the police react so differently to them. And they wanted us to be in a march, in a prayerful, silent march. And they wanted the youth to go first. And we were going to go up to the blockade on 1806. And so the youth went first, and as they got to the bridge, they stepped aside. And then the white women, which included the four of us here with, you know, Maria and Lucy and Sharon and I, and a group of women went up, and we sat in the front. And we had the Indigenous women behind us, and then the youth, and the men were asked to stay in the back. And that was difficult for a lot of the men. A lot of the men kept trying to push their way forward. But the women would just say, not today. You need to be in the back. You need to be back there protecting us. Mm-hmm. And so we sat there. We had made a plan for 20 minutes that we would sit in silent prayer and just see what happened. And there was a negotiator on the other side of the barrier behind the burned out vehicles. And the police were saying, you know, through their bullhorn, you're trespassing. You're trespassing on the bridge. Get off the bridge. You'll be arrested. Get off the bridge. And we just sat there very quietly, very calmly, with this unbelievable feeling of, I don't really want to say power, but this feeling of just assuredness, like we were in the right place and that we were protected, because we all talked afterwards and we all had the same feeling. And so the chatter was going on with the police behind the scenes there. And, you know, eventually I was actually saying the Lord's Prayer during that time. And every time I said it, I would receive a different message about what it meant. And it was very profound. And at the end of 20 minutes, the drums started. We all quietly got up and walked quietly off the bridge. And it was a really, really good feeling. But I think it stirred up so many feelings and so much anger in those men, because I believe it was the next day or 2 days later was the Sunday barrage that happened. Right. It was right after that. Mm-hmm. And I think that it stirred them in a way that they...
Prayer walk was on Friday, and then Sunday was the culmination of all the terrible things that happened.
Yeah. So, you know, there's changes going, and we've always talked, you know, through Global Mission of Peace and through a lot of our symposiums, we would have discussions about these changing times. And it was always discussed that at the end, it would get crazy. It would get chaotic. The energies would be flying because there would be certain people who, you know, have seen the new world and can understand that through unity and peace and love, we're going to move forward. But there's going to be a group of people that aren't there yet, and they're going to be acting out. And that's kind of where we are right now. But I have not lost hope. I actually am more hopeful now, seeing what's going on out there and, you know, listening to the indigenous people speak about, for years, you know, violence was met with violence and it was nothing but murder and destruction. And now, you know, they're winning this battle through peace and love. And it may take a while, but it's going to happen. I just believe it. And I believe that, you know, the women are going to play such a major role in recreating this new world that we're moving into.
So, Maria, what do you think is the outcome of all of this? What do you expect will be happening out there? Do you have some?
I think it's the time. Now is the time. And I think it's going to be a good result. I had the feeling that they are going to make the decision and not stop. Like, the world is watching, and
Isn't it?
and I think it's the time for the people to take the power back, because it's an oath. It's been an oath for the whole world. Like, we have to understand that we have to be looking inside us and understand that all the powers that we have, that they've been teaching us that we are nothing, that we are not strong enough, and I think we are. And I think the world, as an individual, we understand now that we are more than what we think that we were. So I think we are on the right time, and we are going to make the difference.
Jackie, what do you think is the outcome?
I believe that I have a lot of hope that the people will stand and unify and turn this around, show the politicians and the corporations that, you know, they can't do this to us. It's something we can't recover from. So, you know, if we can all get out there and do our part, you know, I think we can show them exactly what we feel, and we can change this.
When you tell people, since you've been there and come back, what is the reaction to people when you tell them that you've been there? Do they know about it, or do they want to know about it? What goes on?
A lot of people don't know about it. I just was at Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and everybody in there was from North Dakota. And they were all white, and so they had a different, they've been away long enough to think that North Dakota is full of love and people giving, and they take the clothes off their back to give it to you. And I said, I didn't feel that when I was amongst the people in Bismarck, but I did have two incidences where I'm from California and not dressed appropriately for the cold. And one day I was working and my hands were freezing, and a young girl came up, took the gloves off her hands and put them on my hands. And I was really touched. And then another day I was walking through the camp, and another woman came up and I had no scarf on, and she came and took her scarf off, put it around my neck. And she told that in the cold I had to keep my neck and my ears covered to stay warm. And, you know, it was amazing to me. And that's what I tell people, how wonderful the experience of being with the people in the camp, the loving spirit, that's what I tell them. And I think it makes a point. They get it. But the white people at the gathering, they said that's what North Dakota used to be before. And they were actually saying that there's parts of where the camps are that they're pulling out the oil, are saying that those people, nobody wants to go there from North Dakota anymore because it's a different type of people that are very greedy, kind of lawless. In fact, at McDonald's, they have to pay the people just to be in the town $20 an hour because the people of North Dakota do not want to be there. So it was kind of it was kind of a healing time for all of us at the Thanksgiving because they were hearing a different side and not the side of the white. It was more coming from, you know, what I experienced in the camp, and they felt that was more appropriate.
I've been sort of following a spiritual side and also being awakened to the truth of, if you want to call it the matrix, if you want to call it this illusion that we're living in. And for many years, I knew that America needed to be on board on who or like find a route to where we would be waking up more massive, more people wake up. And I truly thank this movement in Standing Rock because it helped me connect the dots more clear now. That is these big greedy corporations manipulating the oil industry, manipulating the media, manipulating the politics. So through this indigenous people that have been connected to Mother Earth, they have the answers to everything. And I am so grateful to them for always being so connected that now they're helping us connect the dots, finally. So I'm really grateful to them for helping me connect it and helping the American people, us, the ones that are not representing our government, because we don't represent our government. We're hardworking people and we need to be awakened. So thank you, Standing Rock, for being the rock that the American people need you to be.
I also find it really amazing because, you know, when you look at the history of the Indians and how they were slaughtered by the U.S. government and by the soldiers, and now what's happening at Standing Rock, yeah, the people, you know, we've all come back together again, and now the veterans, you know, there are ex-military, are coming there to protect. And to me, that is part of the healing. You know, when you look at the history of those two groups, and now the veterans who have served our country are going to come back there and protect the land, the Indians. To me, that is just a major part of the healing that we're going to see taking place at
So can
Standing
you
Rock.
explain that, please? What's actually going on with the veterans coming out? There's a group of veterans who have signed up, about 1,400 or so.
Oh, it's well over 5,000 now.
Oh,
It
my
went
goodness.
from 1,450 one night to over 5,000 the next
Oh,
day.
my goodness.
And I didn't get a count today, so I don't know where we're at today. But it's sort of like the rest of us. You see what's going on. You see what's happening to regular citizens, to us, to Marjorie. And you cannot believe that in this country, citizens would be treated like that, would be shot and gassed and grenades being thrown at them. I mean, who would ever have thought that?
Let's talk about
now
that.
that,
Let me break in here. I want to talk about that, but I want to talk specifically to Marjorie, because what was it like for you when Mary Beth just said, we can't imagine that? So what she just said, you experienced. What do people say to you when you tell them what happened to you?
Yeah. So actually, to be honest, I was not part of the grenades or the mace or the rubber bullets that kicked in 5 days after my arrest. So I was confronting lines of law enforcement in full riot gear with threatening poses, but did not experience the war zone that Maria and Mary Beth and Sharon and Lucy did a week ago Sunday. So I could feel it building and brewing, but did not actually experience it firsthand.
So back to Mary Beth. So the people, when you guys, like you and Lucy and Sharon, so now you're back in Pennsylvania, and like, how do you relate this to people how do you talk about this to people? Do you go up to them and say, let me tell you what happened? Or how are you dealing with this?
Well, it's sort of like there's a group of people that are awake and aware enough to understand what is going on. And then there's a group of people who are still living, like Lucy says, I don't know what word we want to use, the matrix, the control, the illusion, I don't even know what word we want, but there's this group of people who truly believe that all law enforcement, all government is here to protect us, that the laws are there for the citizens, that, what were we doing on a bridge at nighttime? What would we expect to happen? These were things that people have said to me. Well, if you're on a bridge at nighttime, what do you expect? You're going to get in trouble. Why would you do it? And I said, wait a minute. First of all, this action started in the daytime. People were trying to move a vehicle because the road is blocked, and emergency vehicles can't get through to the camp. And when you're talking, 8 to 10,000 people and the possibility of needing services, these ambulances and all have to go, half hour, 40 minutes out of their way to get there. So they said enough was enough. They were going to move it so that they could have, public access there. Well, the force came, and what I say to people, what I expect to happen is that the police show up, and if there's something illegal happening, that the police would say, okay, you're the perpetrator, you're under arrest, you're going to jail. I said, but they didn't do that to anybody. They came armed with grenades and, water cannons and all of it. I mean, it's so hard to even imagine all of this, the tear gas, oh my gosh, it was just crazy. So, people say, why were you there? I'm like, that's not the question. The question is, why was that force? Yeah, why was that force brought there? And why didn't they do their jobs? If they thought something was wrong, they could have arrested people. That's what you do in this country. If somebody's breaking a law, you arrest them.
Well, what I want to understand is Robert Kennedy Jr. has made it very clear on interviews, and the other attorneys have made it very clear that these people have not complied with our law. That's the part that seems to me that just isn't getting talked about. It's not the water protectors necessarily who are doing something wrong. It's these people who did not fulfill the requirements to actually do what they're doing. Am I not correct?
You are correct, and I think that's why you're seeing this reaction from the veterans. I mean, can you imagine spending years in a war fighting supposedly for American citizens, but really what you're fighting for is greed and corporation and oil and whatever. So now you're back here and you're an ex-military, you're a veteran, and all of a sudden you see your fellow citizens being shot at and grenades being thrown at them. I mean, the first thing that you would think is, I took an oath to protect the homeland and the citizens. And so this has sparked something in these people that, want to protect us. They want civil liberties. They want a safe place for their families. They want America. They want it to be the home of the free and the brave and all the things that we grew up believing America to be. These men have risked their lives overseas for us, and now they see it happening here, and they're not going to stand for it.
And they're seeing, and they're seeing people that look like their sisters, and they're seeing people that look like their grandparents and their mothers. It's not, your typical 18 to 25-year-old men in uniform, and it's appalling.
Yeah, and might I say that, whenever you have government in bed with corporation, and if you look this up, you'll find the word fascism. And it was a fascist police state there. So look at the politicians that are invested and look at the corporations. They don't care. They have, these are hired guns that they've hired corporations that have, when we were there, when the elders were praying in the tent, there were 16 of them. And weren't you saying that the local police, Mary Beth, they had their hands on the post of the teepee and they looked like they were praying? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, there was a really wonderful journalist there, John Wathen, and he took a picture, and it appeared that this gentleman had his head bowed and that he was praying. And I believe with all my heart that there are very, very good men in the sheriff's department and in the local police department that are doing this against their will, but are doing it. But I also believe that there's a lot of hired security by DAPL that are there mixed in with it. And I think that those are the ones that, Marjorie, being on the front line, we were there at the same time, and, we were talking to all of these men in riot gear and women. And there was some that you just knew, you could feel their humanity. And there were others that were dead cold. There was nothing there. And you're really dealing with two different types of people. Mm-hmm. And, my prayer has always been that these good ones would just lay down their arms and just, set a precedent and come across and,
they have
with humanity.
They have. In Minnesota, they sent police, and the police refused to go back. They left and refused to go back. And I think there were other police departments that have now refused to go back because they see the inhumanity that is there. And it was just as much traumatic for them as it was for us.
Yeah, and we have to always remember that everything that's going on out there, there's two sides to this. There's the terrible sights that you see and the evilness that's out there. But there is such beauty and humanity out there like I've never seen in my life. It is just, it kind of makes your head spin a little bit. That's why sometimes you feel like you're kind of off kilter while you're there, because you're not used to absorbing such positive energy mixed in with such negative energy. It's like your emotions are constantly switching from, look how beautiful that is. Look at these wonderful, brave men riding their horses out and scouting and protecting all of us. And, look at these women taking care of the camp. And there's just such humanity. And then there's just pure evil.
But that's what gives me strength that this is going to turn out okay, because it's that one-mindedness and that strength and the purpose and the struggle to keep everything in prayer, and then to see the numbers growing and growing and growing, and to witness that humanity where people are helping and working together, that things are going to be okay if we can just keep all you have to do is be there to change your mind about things. And it's hard, you go home and some people want to hear about it, and others are kind of like, oh, you went to Standing Rock, that's nice. Like they don't even want to hear
like
anything.
going on a vacation, right?
Right. How'd you like it out there? I'm finding a lot of, I have 2 sons that are in their early 30s, and I'm finding that the ones that were most responsive to, in a positive way, to my trip out there, were their friends and that age group where they're young, they're more open to what's going on. They don't have preconceived notions about how things really are. They're really trying to see things and make decisions and see things for how they are rather than what they've been told. And then there's also our age group of people maybe that are just about to retire or have already retired, who have experienced the Vietnam era, have experienced the 60s, and know that maybe they've even done some activism when they were younger, and that know that things aren't how they appear. So it's just getting the word out the best you can to your families, and that hope of maybe the young people that are coming up that things will change.
I agree.
One of the reasons why I had it in my heart to go, yes, was to be and experience that what was going on there, I needed to go help. But the other reason why, it was because I work with people. I'm a hairdresser, and there's a lot of people that ask me about stuff, and I kind of, they open up because they trust me. So I talk a lot, and and I know that by me going there, it was going to open up question within them to search. And when I left and came back, they were so like, my experience, I was amazed when I came back, and they're like, oh, I saw you, and I saw you in a newspaper ad that they posted us and on Facebook, and I was really surprised. I'm like, oh my God. So you see the intention that we put out there, it truly does come. My intention was to engage the people that I was around, to open them up more into this. And one of my customer, for instance, they were looking at this magazine, and I'm like, hold on, because it looked like something from Standing Rock, and it was a girl going like this, and it said, stay strong. And she's like, oh, look, this is where you were. And it was a magazine, a glamour magazine.
Wow.
Yes. Do you see? We can make this. Let's just put our intention out there for the positive outcome, even though we have to go through this ugliness part. It's just only going to help us to move in even further. So yeah, that was my little story.
And my hope would be that, we could have all gone back this weekend. I was really putting intention as to just any possibility of us getting back there this weekend, because I really feel with all of these veterans coming, and, what could be sparked in them with memories or whatever, I just feel that having, being there as a grandmother and a mother, I mean, a lot of these men are going to be the age of my son, middle 30s or whatever. I would love to be able to, just to hold them, to sit and hold their hands and talk to them and tell them how wonderful they are and how much we appreciate them and how much we need their protection and their strength and all of that. And, I'm still holding hope that I'll be able to get back out there. But, it's, part of me wants to tell everybody, pack up your gear and go. But in reality, you have to be really, really prepared. A lot of people just want to go. They think, I want to go see what all this is about or whatever. But, you're not going to, Florida. You're going to a place where it can be 30 degrees below zero. And right now they're having a blizzard coming in. So, the camp can only help you so much. So if you're going to go, you're going to need some Arctic gear. You're going to need a really good winter tent. So as much as I know people are saying go, 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 because the numbers are important, don't show up there unprepared because you're putting a stress on the camp. It's a real stress.
But there's other ways that they could help by, there's banks that we could look up that they're funding DAPL. They're making a lot of videos of people pulling the money out of their banks and posting them on Facebook. You could donate. If you find in your area, there's people gathering, there's marches, and there's stuff that you could donate and get together and ship it over there. There's many ways that we could help that doesn't necessarily have to be going. But if you want to go, I liked it. So
I went to
help.
while they were in North Dakota this last time. I went to the LA DAPL rally in LA, and I took my 86-year-old mother, and she didn't know what to expect. But what we found there is the energy was so high from the people around us, and as well as the police were just laughing with us, and they were so pleasant, and they made sure that we were protected. My mother, we started to walk 4 blocks, and my mother, who has a walker, took off so fast, and I couldn't even keep up with her, but she was so charged. But you guys could all go and find a place in your hometown. Look in the internet and see where the nearest one is, and go. Take your signs and be a part, because it's really important right now.
Look, me, I do have arthritis on my shoulder, and I don't think this girls. Did you hear me complaining about pain there? You didn't, right? As long as I got back, I'm being complaining about the arthritis pain. I don't know, but it's the healing that you get there is unbelievable.
Marjorie, what's your plan? What are you doing for the next?
Well, I am very grateful to be back home with family, with my grandchildren and my daughter and my boyfriend, and family feels very important to me. And I'm also planning a return to Standing Rock. I don't actually have a choice about it, because I have to appear in court, or else there will be a warrant for my arrest. But I'm also thinking about what the trip really will be, and opening my heart to the possibility of being there for another, longer than just to show up for court and leave.
Do you have a
And
lawyer?
to connect in with the village, because I think that so much of what we're all yearning for, and part of what the positive experience that we're all speaking of in our own way, is that to be part of a loving village where everybody is opening their hearts and their minds and pitching in to do the work with humility and positive energy, and listening, the appreciation and reverence for the elders and for the women, and just to get away from this rapist culture, is what I've heard it say, raping of the land, the diminishment of people because of their sex or their color or their religion. And so what I want to do is just keep opening my own heart, and not tolerating injustice anywhere where I am. And Standing Rock is this galvanizing lightning rod, this rock, that Lucy was talking about. It's beautiful, and it's going to just need to continue and get stronger all over the world. And I want to be part of that. I really want to be part of that, to stay awake and stay open and keep growing. And I'm loving this. I'm loving just this connection with you all right now, to not feel alone and to be part of a village and a movement that's bigger than me and bigger than my lifetime. And it's for my grandchildren, my grandchildren's grandchildren. And yeah, so thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Marjorie, when we were out there, I know that Donna, she manages the Rosebud Camp. She always called us the warrior women. And it sounded so weird at first because, the connotation of warrior.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wear that as like a badge of honor, because I think when we're called warrior women, we are warriors. We're going to stand up, and we're going to, stand against injustice, and we're going to fight in our own loving way to change this world. We're going to fight through, prayer and kindness and love and nurturing, and we're not going to leave anybody behind. So I love the term now, warrior woman, because I've come to, a different understanding of what that means. And I just want to remind anybody who's listening to this, we also have Grandmothers of Gaia, and you can go on to Facebook and become part of that group. And it sounds like you need to be a grandmother, but you truly don't. It's for anybody, but it's especially for women, young or old, because to me, the grandmother means wisdom. And there's a lot of young women that have such amazing wisdom. So I want to invite you all to come and be part of that. And, together we're going to figure out, what's our next move? What do we do? How do we bring more people to the understanding that, love is the way to heal the world. Love is the way that we get out of this.
The only way.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that the truth? There's no other way.
Yeah.
So ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate all of your insights. I guess I want to say personal thanks to all of you, because I couldn't go out there, but it would have, it's got to be one of the most interesting experiences that you'll ever have, I think. And I do hope that you all get to go back out there, because I think you're the kind of people that we need out there. And I think it's important that you go back if you can go back, because everybody needs to feel supported, and these guys need to feel supported.
You do.
So I think that's pretty important that you could go back, actually.
I do too. I feel a real calling that we need to be there to just be part of the healing for these men and women that are going to be showing up, so many of them. And I just think that we saw what it was like being out there, and the hugs are amazing. I mean, after every action, it's just a lot of hugging and healing and, unifying and strengthening each other. And it really is quite different than anything that you experience in your normal daily life. And I think that this could be a major healing opportunity for our vets when they're there. So just remember, everybody, to pray for them, pray for their safe journey, pray for their will to stay in peace, because they are trying to go out there as a peaceful group of protectors. So pray that they'll be able to manage that through the stress that they're going to be feeling. And just keep Standing Rock, really in your prayers, because this is, I think, the catalyst that moves us into the new world. I believe that, that's where we gathered, that's where we came together. And from there, we're just going to travel out in all directions and make all of these changes throughout our world.
Prayer is our biggest weapon. That is the only weapon we should use.
Jackie?
Yeah. like I said, through all of this,
Mhm.
the energy, the bravery, the hearts are the one things that you leave with that you'll never forget. And it's really hard to put that out there unless you go there yourself, unless you feel it yourself. You know, it's hard to explain, but you know, it was a wonderful experience. It had its moments, but it truly was worth every moment I spent there.
And Maria, how about you? Can you hear us or did we lose you?
Yeah,
You're there. Are you going to go back?
I want to go back. My husband, he told me a couple of days ago, if you want to go back, go ahead. So, but I'm not sure this a good idea to go back by myself. I'll go with at least one of those girls, Lucy or because I think we did a very good team there.
The one thing that I've picked up on a lot in your speaking about this, all of you, is the degree of ceremony that they have that we find missing in our daily life, in our everyday daily life. We sort of lack ceremony. We become disattached in a way from our ceremony, and the only real ceremonies I see are either military ceremony or church ceremony. But this type of Native American ceremony that you are witnessing seems to be lost to the rest of us, don't you think?
All about with them, it's just honoring. They honor the sky, the water, the earth, the animals, the wind. They honor it all. And, you know, those are the elements. Without them, there is no life. And that's what we forget. You know, you might go to church and it's all of these other rituals, but
Right.
it's not about honoring where we come from. We come from the water. We come from the earth. And we don't stop to think about that and to honor it, take care of it, love it, thank it, be grateful for it. And
where can we do that? I mean, is there any place around our towns where that goes on?
you don't even need to be anywhere. Just go outside, you know, burn some sage and say your prayers, you know, put your body. I received a note from a Cherokee woman right before we were leaving, and she said she had a dream and she wanted me to get a group of women together, and she wanted us to all lay on the ground with our hearts on Mother Earth, and together just let her feel our heartbeat and let that healing take place. And so we were leaving and we couldn't arrange it, but I mentioned it to somebody and they said, oh my gosh, we started doing that just yesterday. So like this thought came, and that same dream or thought was put into many people. So I would say, you know, go outside, lay on the ground, you know, be grateful for the earth, be grateful for life, and let the mother know that you're here, that you're working to heal her. You're working to heal humanity. You're, you know, really working to save the water, which is really saving life for every living thing. So as far as where you go in your town, I don't even know if you need it. It's just, I think it's such an individual thing, just being so grateful and remembering to be connected.
I'm not sure we have that degree of connection in our towns. I don't see ceremonial connection in daily life anymore. Do you? I mean, you are all reporting over and over in all the conversations that I've had about this trip with you guys. You emphasize the ceremony. You have emphasized the circle. You have emphasized the caring and the humanity. And humanity becomes exposed in a very tense situation. So I guess we don't have enormously tense situations going on in our little towns. But I keep being brought back to this need of ceremony only because you guys are talking about it so much.
Well, one of the things that we were lucky enough to hear the beat of the drum every day, and when you went to sleep at night, you could hear the singing and the and the drum beat, and it was almost like the drum beat. I mean, the heartbeat of Earth. It all came together for me too. At night when I would listen and I would go to sleep with the drums. Another funny thing and the most impressive thing for my grandchildren, I think, was the fact that I smoked a peace pipe. And for them, they wanted to hear all about that. But that's the ceremony you have, and the sweat lodges and stuff like that. It's all to bring you closer to spirit. And I think for me, that was really touching.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just like, before we went out on any action, there would always be a prayer circle. And, it was just so calming, and it really, consciously made you aware of what you were about to do, and that you needed to do it peacefully and lovingly. And, I love the one song that they would sing a lot, and it was the Four Directions. And you would turn, to face the east, and then they would be, bringing blessings from the east, and then to the Four Directions. And there's so much of everything that you do is so connected with Earth and Creator that it's not the same as just saying a prayer. I mean, we go to church and we just say a prayer, and it's lovely, but there's something about being outside on the physical earth, under the sky, noticing the wind and the directions, and it just, don't you think, Marjorie? I mean, those prayers they connected you in a way that was different. I don't know how to really explain it, right?
It's like those prayers had a purpose, and then they just went right to your heart, and that you were connected to that. And I actually, never felt connected like that to even like church or anything.
Mm-hmm. It's like your spirit becomes connected with all it is, and you're reminded where life comes from. It comes from Mother Earth. All life springs through the earth, through the water, and we can't live without her, thriving and being healthy, and honoring her and being grateful to her. And, in most of our daily lives, we don't really think like that,
Now, the concept of Earth as a being is lost on many people, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. Anybody have anything they want to close with?
I just wanted to say, if we could all be a walking prayer and have our intention to work our way to be a walking prayer, which I have the intentions to be, we'll get there. I'm sure we will. I didn't know what it was to be connected to nothing. And when I started my spiritual journey, I started practicing little by little. And now I could finally find my center. I could finally find my heart. Thanks to all of this thing going on. And thank to you guys for coming on board in my reality, and for me to pull you in. I pulled all of you in. I love it. I just thank for
That's great.
being in this earth. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Behind, even
And
though
if we have
all
our
this,
way, the world will work for everyone, right?
yeah.
And I just wanted to say how grateful I am to all of the elders who are standing out at Sacred Stone and at Rosebud and at Ocheti Sakawi, that are just, holding that knowledge and that light that emanates around the camp. And they're teaching all of us, and they're teaching the youth how to really walk in a pure light and offer love. I mean, they call all of us family. We're all family to them. And I just want to really thank them. And I also want to thank all of the people out there that have kind of become leaders of Standing Rock. You know, they've dedicated themselves to this mission, and you see them daily on all the YouTubes and Facebook, and they're so committed. And I'm just really grateful that they're able to, you know, really walk their talk and stay in truth and be real leaders.
And it's
So-
not just like leaders out there at the actions. It's leaders by running a camp, by being a medic, by making sure that every day you're reporting, by flying a drone. There's just so many things out there. Everybody has their little niche that they've fallen into, that things that they're good at, and they have their way to communicating everything out to all of us. And I really appreciate everybody who's working so hard to do their thing at Standing Rock.
And to all the people that have donated to the legal fund, because, you know, all of these arrests, I think there's over 400 now. The money that's been donated to legal fund has paid the bail to get the people out of jail, which I think is like phenomenal. And I really want to thank people that have been behind that whole effort, the legal effort out there. For the few people that they have, they do a phenomenal job. And the media people do an excellent job. And I'm just so grateful to all of them for standing so true and keeping this whole movement going. It's an amazing thing to see.
Well, I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll do this again after you come back the next time. How's that?
Yes, please.
See you guys. Thanks a lot.